Namaskar, student. Today we are in Unit 16 and the name of chapter is Classification of Living Organism or Plant and Animals. And we see around us, we see different types of things, and they are broadly we classify them into living thing and non-living things. So we have already studied what are living thing and non-living thing. We have already discussed, so we will not go in that. So we will only concentrate on the living things. And you all know that living things are those which have life in them and which have movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion and nutrition. So all these characters are shown by the living organism. So if we study about the living thing only, we have enormous number of organisms around us. They are from small organism, tiny organism, which are made up of only single type of cell. Okay, to the organism like blue whale, which is the largest organism on the earth. So to study them one by one individual, it is not easy. Okay, it is not easy to study each and every individual one by one. So to make it easier, study easier, it is required to classify or group them in different groups or categories. We have to categorize them in different groups. So there is a basis on which they can be classified. Okay, so we can see their characteristic and behavior, etc. to classify. As we classify as human being into male, female, girl or boys. Okay, you may have classified yourself in your school or class. We can categorize you as boy or girl. Okay, so in that manner, to make the study of living organism, classification is necessary. Now, what is classification? So classification means the systematic grouping of living organism or living being on the basis of their similarities or dissimilarities. So grouping the living organism by looking their similarities and dissimilarities in different groups. Okay, in different groups, categorize them in different groups, and if we study their characteristic, then it will be easier. As we all know, all we are living beings, most of the characteristics are common to us. Okay, but there are many characteristics which may be differ from one another, and most of the characteristics may be similar to few organisms, and some characteristic is different from another. So on the basis of looking the characteristic of living organism, they are categorized or placed in different groups, and this grouping is known as classification. Okay, so before this you have studied the term called taxonomy. Okay, what is taxonomy? The branch of science which deals with the identification, okay, which deals with the identification, classification and nomenclature. Okay, nomenclature. So in lower class also you may have studied about this branch of science. Okay, branch of science which deals with identification, classification and nomenclature. First of all, we have to identify the living organism, what type it is. By looking their characteristic, we have to identify what are their characteristics. After identifying, we will classify into the groups, and after classifying, grouping them in a, placing them in a group, we have to give the name. Okay, and this system of classification has been started from a long back. There is this history from the Aristotle, who have classified the living organism in two types on the basis of whether they are living on the land or in the water. Okay, and similarly later on, many biologists, they came to classify the living organism to improve their classification so as to make the study easier. Okay, so like that, we all know Carlos Linnaeus. Okay, Carlos Linnaeus was the first botanist or biologist who is also known as the father of taxonomy. He has a great contribution for nomenclature of living organism. Okay, on his method, he classified living organism into two types, that is two kingdom, that is plant kingdom and animal kingdom. And more contribution of him was in case of nomenclature. So he introduced the system of what is nomenclature? Giving the scientific name to an organism is known as nomenclature. And why the nomenclature was necessary? Because some organism, they may be known by one name in one country because they have different language, and in other countries same organism may be known by another name. Okay, there may be confusion when we talk about the living organism by their common name in different countries, because they have different language, and because of different language, the people may not understand what they are saying. Sometimes some organisms have different name compared in another country, so it may be confusion. So to remove it, scientific way of giving name was introduced, and that system of naming system came in Latin word, and that system of naming of an organism in a scientific manner is known as binomial system of nomenclature. Binomial system. Okay, binomial system. So bi means two, nomial means name. So the system of giving scientific name to an organism by using two names, okay, that is known as binomial system of nomenclature. Okay, I know that you have studied this in your lower classes too. So in binomial system of nomenclature, okay, in binomial system of nomenclature, two Latin words are used to represent the scientific name to an organism, in which first name is generic name. First name is generic. So the word, the first letter or first word which is used there is generic name of an organism, and the second word represent the specific name of an organism. Okay, for example, if you take the name of scientific name of frog, simple one, is Rana tigrina. Okay, Rana tigrina. Okay, so Rana tigrina is the scientific name of a frog, which consists of two words. First one is Rana, which is the generic name of an organism. Means generic name means closely related organism. Okay, group of organisms which are closely related with each other. Okay, and second is specific name of an organism which relate to particular species of an organism. Okay. For example, if you take a tiger, Panthera tigris, lion, Panthera leo is the scientific name given to them. Panthera is common to both. They belongs to same family. Panthera, okay, lion and tiger. But specifically they are different from one another. That's why tigris is given for the tiger and leo is used for the lion. Okay, so the way of giving scientific name by using two words, that is first generic name and second specific name to an organism, is known as binomial system of nomenclature that you have already studied. Okay, for example, another example, if you take Homo sapiens, okay, Homo sapiens is the scientific name of human being, isn't it? So first letter is the generic name of human being, okay, human, and sapien is the specific name to us, given to us, that is human being. Okay, so this is the way of writing the scientific name, and there are rules which guide us to write the name of an organism. Okay, so while writing the scientific name, the generic name is written with the capital letter, whereas specific name is written with the initial letter is small letter. So capital letter and small letter, and while writing we should underline the name. It is the necessary to write, and whenever it is printed in book, it is italicized. Okay, it is italic, in the italic form, font, it is written on the book or the printed things. So this is the way, and the person about this is the thing about the naming of organism in Latin words, using Latin words. Okay, so we have studied about what is classification and what is the need of classification, that is to make a simple and easy way to understand the living organism. After that, we have studied what is taxonomy, the branch of science that deals with the study of identification, classification and nomenclature of an organism. After that, we have studied what is nomenclature, that is the system of giving scientific name to an organism, and there we have studied about the binomial system of nomenclature, in which two word or two name is used in Greek letters, Greek language, to give generic name and specific name to an organism. Why it is done? To remove the confusion between the name of an organism, because it may be known by one name in one place and may be known by another name in other place. Okay, so that is about the naming. And the person who looks or study about the classification of living organism is known as the taxonomist. Okay, so like Carlos Nino is known as the father of taxonomy, as he has contributed a lot in this field. And his system of classification was done on the basis of two kingdoms, that is plant kingdom and animal kingdom. But in our course, we will discuss the classification of living organism on the modern concept of five kingdom system, which was propounded by Robert Harding Whittaker. Okay, Robert Harding Whittaker, who have given that in 1969 AD. Okay, in 1969 AD, he propounded the way by which the classification is done. So the basis for classification of Robert Harding Whittaker method was about evolution. It is based on the evolution. So what is evolution? Systematic and gradual transformation of organism from simple to complex. From simple to complex. The organism has not, they have not derived in the, they did not originated from the complex, whatever we see now. Okay. It is based on the fact that the living organism have been derived from simpler organism. They gradually, slowly and slowly, they develop into more complex from the previous one, and they go on developing, and as such, the highly developed living organism like human being came into existence. So on this basis, this classification of 5 kingdom system came into existence, and which was given by the whom? Robert Harding Whittaker. Okay, and when he has given this, he has given this in 1969 AD. So in our course, we will study the classification of living organism on the basis of 5 kingdom system. Okay, and why 5 kingdom system is the modern system of classification. Okay, why it is so? Why it is used? What are the advantages to use this size this system of classification? So, in this system, he broadly categorized living organism on the basis of common basis, like whether they are prokaryotic, prokaryotic or eukaryotic, whether they are unicellular or multicellular. In case of plant, he took consideration of whether they are autotrophic or they are saprophyte or not, they are heterotrophs or not, whether they can prepare their food or not, like that. On that basis, he has categorized. So he classified on the basis of whether at the basic, whether the living organism is prokaryotic or not. Okay, so few terms we will study today, and we will go in detail in next class. Okay, so first he classified the group into prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Okay, now karyotic, pro means primitive. Okay, those all living organisms which are very primitive. Okay, which are very primitive, very oldest type of organism, which are made up of only one cell. Okay, so all that living organism which were unicellular and most primitive type of cell were classified under prokaryotic organism. Okay, on this basis he has divided. Similarly, eukaryotic means those organisms which have cell bodies like mitochondria, whether they may have cell wall, they may have cell membrane, mitochondria, nucleus, like that. Okay, so those organisms, they are called eukaryotic, having nucleus, mitochondria, other cell bodies, and the one which is primitive, okay, they are classified in prokaryotic. So he classified on that basis. So this 5 kingdom system is much related to prokaryotic and eukaryotic. That's why here it is used. Similarly, he classified whether the living organisms are unicellular or multicellular on that basis, whether they have cell wall or not, they do not have cell wall. Okay, on that basis he has classified. That's why it is considered as the correct method to classify the living organism. So in modern time, we take Whittaker, R.S. Whittaker system or 5 kingdom system as the standard one. So there may be chance that it may improve in near future, but at present we consider the R.S. Whittaker method of classification as the modern, and in coming classes we will start the classification of living organism on the basis of 5 kingdom system. So Today we have discussed what is classification. This already we have discussed. What is classification, what is taxonomy, what is nomenclature, what is binomial system of nomenclature, while writing binomial system of nomenclature, what we should do, what's the things we have to keep in mind. And after that we have discussed about the classification system, in which Carlos, how he classified on the basis of plant and animal kingdom, whereas in our course we will study about the 5 kingdom system, and on what basis the 5 kingdom system is studied. So we have discussed that. Okay, so in next class we will study about the 5 kingdom system turn by turn, from simple to complex, that is from the prokaryotic type of cell division, that is from Monera, to the animal kingdom. So please go through the book and try to understand. For today, this much. Thank you.